my name is Summer. This is Brady. He is a Pembroke Welsh Corgi, and we're going to talk about training tips today. It's never too late to start training your dog. I've trained dogs as young as started them as puppies, and I've trained dogs not starting until they were 7, 8 years old. All of them got something out of the training. Some of them got more out of the training than others. We're just going to talk about just basic obedience stuff today, stuff to do with your dog at home. I always recommend dog owners go to class, whether it be puppy school or just basic manners class. They might know how to do stuff at home, but it's a totally different scenario when they're out and about in a different environment, or if they're out and about with different dogs. So it's always good, yes, to do training at home, but it's also good to do it outside of the home with other distractions in a place that's kind of a controlled environment like a dog training class would be. And the easiest thing to start training your dog is the sit. And most dogs learn that fairly quickly. What I recommend is using just little soft treats. It's a little bit easier for the dog to quickly eat without taking too much time with having to stop and chew and think about what they're doing. And they don't seem to lose focus too much if you're using treats. If you're teaching a dog to sit and they truly don't know the word sit, what I normally do is I take a treat and I just hold it, let them sniff it, know that you have it, and just hold it above their head and just kind of set it back and tell them to sit at the same time. Most dogs, as long as you don't have it too far above their head, will sit, and I always give them the reward when they're in the sit position. If they sit and then I don't give them the reward and they're up already, I don't give them reward because I just rewarded them for not sitting. If they're a puppy, or even if it's an adult dog, I don't like to press down on their butts to make them sit. A lot of dogs, especially puppies still growing, that'll cause some problems back there. Or older dogs who already have problems back there, they're not going to want to sit if you're pushing on their hips and they're already. So what I usually do, put my hand back behind their butts and just kind of tuck in their butt as I'm pushing them back in front. That always gets them in the same position also. And it's always good to give them a praise word, even if you're using cookies. That way, eventually you can get rid of the cookies or the treats, and you can just give them the praise word. I usually use yes or good boy. In order to teach your dog to walk calmly on a leash, the first thing that I always do is I carry treats in my pockets. I use a lot of treats in my training, but they're always small treats, and I don't give them a whole lot. The easiest way for me to teach a dog to stay with me is if I just hold a treat, let them know that you have it, and just start walking. And when they're with you, give them a treat. Tell them good boy, yes, whatever you want to use, and give them the treat. When your dog starts pulling, just stop walking, and the dog will eventually look back, tell it good boy. It'll come back to you, then start walking again. Now that might take you a half an hour to walk a block, but it's teaching the dog that he's not going anywhere pulling you. He's going to have to wait for you and move that way. Another thing people talk about they don't like their dogs doing is jumping up on people. I don't necessarily mind it as long as the dog is small, but if you've got a big dog, especially a puppy, they can be a little bit overwhelming for you, and if you have house guests who aren't used to dogs that they come and jump up on. The easiest way to teach a dog not to jump if they come up is take your knee and just bump them off. And you got to be consistent and use the same word. His word to get off me, get off the bed, whatever, is off. Training your dog at home is always a good idea. They need to learn how to, of course, obey you at home, but also I recommend taking the dogs to an obedience class, whether it be at a private facility or even PetSmart offers training classes. It's always a good idea for them, even if they know how to, do the basic obedience. It's always a good idea for them to actually go to a class. That way they're learning how to obey you and be a controlled dog in new environments, around new people, around new pets.